Hello all and welcome to Bound for Glory. I am Ethan and we've got a big show ahead of us. We've got interviews with Tom Curran, key forward from North Melbourne, goal umpire Courtney Lai. How's everyone going?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Pretty well so far this morning.
Yeah, quite good.
I think we just go around the panel. My name's Ben Kazubi.
I'm Pralab Gupta.
My name is Jordan Whitty.
I'm Damon Jackman.
And we've got a massive show. Boys, game last night, I think I was bored to tears.
Oh, it was horrible. It was really just... Ross Lyon is... I said this on various forms of social media last night. Ross Lyon is the best possible physical representation of a wet blanket that has ever existed.
Probably one of the best analogies as well.
I mean, in finals football, his style of gameplay does hold up, though.
But does it win flags?
It almost did.
Yeah,
Almost won
well,
two.
they were a bounce of a ball away from winning one. But I think you made a good point, Ben, that they have a list of pretty exciting players, you know, Fife and Mundy and Pavlich and Broughton and all these players, Ballantyne as well, even though he's a dirty little tip rat. But, you know, they have a list of players that really should be producing exciting football, and they're just not. They're just boring. I
think especially defensive football has really stolen one flag in football history. That was 2005 with the Swans. Will this game plan hold up? Because last night, Fremantle looked their most dangerous when they went on the offence. The last 5 minutes was probably viewing-wise, was the best part of the game. But also for Fremantle, it was the only point where they looked actually like they were going to win the contest.
I actually think the next 12 months, or the first season with Ross Lyon as coach, is more about getting those basics ingrained within the football club. And you'll see more of a positive outlook over the next few years.
I think it's more about indoctrinating them into just this defensive mindset.
To be honest, I actually look a bit concerned about Fremantle's forward line. I mean, Pavlich can kick 30 a year. Who else do you go to? I mean, Kepler Bradley, is he your full forward?
Oh, super spud.
Well, you got Main up there as well. He's a D, but he's not a key position player. But
Zach Clark as well plays forward and rock.
And no one knows about Chris Main, because he's not from Victoria, so no one here really takes notice of him. But he is actually quite a good footballer, and does kick a good amount of goals.
Well, that's
he's torn North apart on a few occasions.
Well, that's the thing, because I've seen him play as well, and he wasn't exactly in that key position tonight because of the structure Ross Lyon had him playing. He wasn't up forward; he was up the middle of the ground, winning ball alongside players like Mundy and Ballantyne. They're all up the ground. They had no set forward structure, Fremantle, last night, and there was this sort of look when they interviewed Ross Lyon at three-quarter time. He's like, we just need to work on the forward line. We just need to kick straight. There's no point saying, we need to kick straight when you haven't got a forward line.
And what about Carlton?
Well, what do we make of Carlton? Are they top 2 or are they top 4?
I think they're top 4. I think they've got the skills and the talent to go top 4. I think Walker was fantastic last night coming back from injury.
Cade Simpson, once again.
A very underrated footballer, I think. And
him and Scotland, I think Scotland's... He's like the general in the back half. He's really underrated, I think, in terms of his importance to Carlton.
Does Ratton say to Scotland the same thing that Scott would say to Bartel at Geelong? Here's your pass to do what you like. You think you can stand up, you're a senior player, just do what you want.
I think he goes pretty much where he wants on the ground, and most of the time his instincts, I think, are good enough to justify Ratton saying, go where you want, do what you like, get the footy and put it where you think it's going to help our club.
Well, he pays off fantasy football-wise. He's been an absolute gem. I think that's the only thing I took out of last night's game.
What did everyone think about Crowley's game on Judd? Because I personally thought nothing wrong.
Well, we saw Gary Ablett tweet about that.
Yeah. Far out.
He didn't like it at all.
I think he called him a joke, didn't he?
He did. I think he said that, Ling went offense, but you have to look at Ling. When he first started his career, he was quite similar to what Crowley did anyway.
He said play the man, not the ball, didn't he?
It's going to be interesting.
He said he's playing the man, not the ball.
It's going to be interesting to see how Crowley deals with Ablett when they play the Gold Coast next time.
I think Gaz will just rip him a new one.
I think Crowley is best to give him a couple of cheapies in the stomach.
It's Freo Gold Coast next week, so Ablett won't be playing that.
Is it really next week?
I think so.
Bugger. Maybe he only made those comments because he knows he's not going to be playing next week.
He's afraid of him, isn't
he? Also Fremantle had a lot of players that didn't do anything last night. I mean, Jack Anthony, McPhee...
I feel sorry for Jack Anthony.
Who had to take 3 players on?
I really do feel sorry
for him.
Zach
Dawson... I mean, how are these boys still on an AFL list? I mean, is it a case of Lyon taking a mediocre list and essentially saying... This is the best we can do at the moment in time. Let's just shut the game down and try and win a flag that way instead of cultivating a list where he's got really good defensive players and it's balanced throughout. What do you boys think?
I can answer the Zach Dawson question, and that is because he's actually Ross Lyon's love child. It's the only reason he's still on an AFL list is because, for some odd reason, Ross Lyon loves him and brought him across from St Kilda.
I think he just felt sorry for him more than anything.
I think he's the only one who can put up with him for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
It's just frustrating. I think he sleeps on Ross Lyon's couch or something.
Or at the end of his bed or something. Late at
Curled
night.
up
in a ball.
and wakes him up in the morning by licking his face and things like that.
Boys,
Who else was on that list of players who really shouldn't be on the list? Jack Anthony.
Jack Anthony.
He showed so much promise at Collingwood. That was the most amazing thing. And
Didn't he kick 50 in a
He
season?
was
once?
Collingwood's
exactly
leading
50 in a
goalkeeper
season.
once.
That's ridiculous.
But he was a one-dimensional forward, and I mean, that was when they were looking at Travis Cloke, Chris Dawes. They were trying to get them in the forward line. He was basically the 1-2 year plan they had before that. But he was a one-dimensional player. They found him out, and he just stopped kicking goals.
The word is,
Basically.
like, off the field, he's a bit of a nut, a bit of a head case, and could be the reason why he just goes walkabouts during games.
I mean, it says a lot about last night when Lockie Henderson can rack up 21 touches.
Yeah.
He
It's
did
control
what
of
he
backline like
wanted.
did.
There was no one there, and Fremantle, they looked like Collingwood in round 1 and 2. They just look structureless. There's no forward set up.
Jamison had 21.
Jesus, you'd get on Carlton, you'd get on defenders the week for fantasy footy the week before they play Freo, wouldn't you? Because
Just viewing the Bow wasn't playing, I think. Because he would have got 40.
All right, boys, now just quickly before we jump into the first segment, just a couple of thoughts about the Anzac Day game, Essendon Collingwood. Just nice and quickly, it was obviously a very exciting game, but what do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting because Collingwood really won most of the clearance stats, most of all the statistics, but they only ended up winning by a point. So I thought Essendon did very well to actually stay in the game, and I guess it was a good sign for Essendon.
I think it was largely due to Dane Swan's influence. It was a monster game. Was it 36 touches, 3 goals? Something like
42 touches,
Yeah.
3
42.
goals.
42, wow.
I think at this
incredible.
point it's time for me to apologise to Dane Swan. I've said he hangs out the side of packs like a seagull. Dane, I apologise. You were absolutely outstanding. You
Come on,
won
show.
contested football, and
the
good
first
on
time.
you. That's all I have to say. I'm wrong about
It was an
Dane Swan.
exceptional game of football.
It was.
Yeah. It's one of his best, I reckon. I'm a big critic of his. I said the same thing as you, Ben. But yeah, he was awesome. He was everywhere.
And what about Brent Staden? He had
I think he got found. I reckon he's been
completely
found out.
nullified by Marty Clark.
He
One of
can't
his-
handle a tag, that's the
one
thing.
of his
I
best
just want to
games.
say, all of you who question Nathan Buckley's coaching just ate a massive, piece of humble pie. That was brilliant putting Marty Clark on him. Stanton had no answer, and
But yet at the end of the game when it was there to be won, and Stanton did kick a goal to put Essendon in front with what?
It was the only thing he did all day, pretty much, though.
But still, to put yourself in a position where you can win the game for your club is still, something to be commended.
big raps on him. He's improved over the off-season. He's got a bigger tank. He's winning the clearances. He's winning contested ball, and that's something Essendon's midfield's needed.
They had a stat a few years ago where Brent Stanton apparently ran 21 kilometres in one game. That's how big his
wasn't
tank is.
surprised.
He's got a massive tank.
21.
Not your normal
21.
Saturday afternoon jog.
Are you sure they didn't catch it the GPS thing onto a seagull and they just flew around the ground all day? That's ridiculous. 21.
But
Wasn't
he's
the record
Ks.
Crawford with 17 Ks? That's ridiculous.
I reckon he's kind of like Swan in that aspect. He's got a massive tank. He can run all day, but he's just, I think, he's stepped it up this year in terms of finding the ball uncontestedly, and it's just, I think it's now he's got to make that next step up into sort of handling a tag, but he's improved
You
immensely.
better hope he's not one of those players just going to beat up on bottom 10 teams, just not going to perform at all against the top 8, top 4. You really hope for Essendon, who are trying to push for finals, that Brent Stan will be a performer. He'll get 25 disposals, kick a goal or two, and
Well, it'll
consistently perform against the top 4 sides.
It'll be how he goes against teams like, West Coast and Geelong and Hawthorn. So, when it comes time for Essendon to play those teams, obviously it'll be something of interest to watch Brent Stan and see how he goes. But that's probably the only knock I have on his game so far this year is that he hasn't performed well against Collingwood, which is really the only top 4 team that Essendon played. But other than that, he's been excellent.
He often can be down on interstate games because he does have a phobia for flying.
It's not an
Really?
excuse.
He does, that's true. True story.
He gets scared and then doesn't play. Oh, I'm not even going to get into it.
So what do we think of Essendon? Well, they were pretty good for coming off a 4-day break. Carlton paid absolutely no respect to them last Saturday, which is...
No, they got duly tailed up for their troubles.
Yeah, they just weren't interested, I don't think. It's
So-
just the mindset. They just weren't in the right mindset.
Does anyone here think...
Terrible.
Well, Praylab, put on your independent cap here.
Independent.
Essendon, are they a chance top 4? They're 4-1. They've got a very nice mid-season draw. Can they make it?
I think the injuries will hurt them. I'll probably say they're likely to finish about 6th to 8th this year, and next year they'll be pushing towards top 4. But this year, I don't think they will be top 4.
Well, we'll get into that later, all the injury things, but now I think we should move on to the next segment. Jordan, what have you got for us?
Really? Well, something that was really, as you know, you might have realised if you've been listening to the podcast, I am a passionate North Melbourne supporter. There's a couple of other North Melbourne supporters in here, and the game against Sydney on the weekend, unfortunately, there was a massive controversy coming out of that involving Lindsay Thomas and his quote-unquote slide tackle. Now, I don't know, he was reported for it when no one thought he was going to be reported. It was a shot out of the dark, really. And he was reported for what the AFL calls a slide tackle. And that term, I think someone did some research and it doesn't appear in the rulebook anywhere. In the AFL official rulebook, the word slide tackle don't appear. The word slide doesn't appear anywhere. It's predominantly a soccer term. Now, if you didn't see it, the footage, it was a wet day and Thomas sort of slides in with a wet ball, a wet day. The ball's changing direction. It's not bouncing properly, and it changed direction on him. He changed direction and slid in to try and, as you do if you've ever played football, you slide in and try and stand up back on your legs again. And Gary Rowan got in the way. Compound fracture of the ankle, which is, or compound fracture of the lower leg, which is obviously terrible. It's a horrible injury, and he will be out for the rest of the season, no doubt.
Well, they're comparing it to Jason Snell, and I don't think he ever played
injury.
a game again after he did his leg in 2001 or so.
It would be terrible if it was to spell the end of Rowan's career, because he's a very exciting young player. In any case, Thomas actually got the free kick for the contest for a high tackle. Game went on. No one said anything of it except for the fact that obviously Rowan had to be stretched off. It's very sad. And then come the match review panel's review of the game, they cited Thomas for, I think, rough conduct, and ended up suspending him for 2 weeks, or offering him a 2-week suspension. And obviously this sent the football media into a spin. Everyone was pretty much throwing up blood over it. It was a horrible, horrible thing. Twitter campaigns to free Lindsay, and the whole day after the match review panel decided to cite him was pretty much just everyone saying how bad of a decision it was and how he should be let off and things like that. Wayne Carey called it a joke. One of the toughest players, one of the best players to ever play the game.
No bias whatsoever.
No bias whatsoever, of course. It eventually went to the tribunal, and Lindsay got off, thankfully. So, to summarise all of this, he was reported for an accidental injury to another player. And while it's very sad for Rowan, the fact that in this day and age of football, someone can be reported for an accidental injury, an accidental contact, it signifies that the AFL is changing from what it used to be. And I think it's an indictment on the game. I think that if Thomas had been suspended, it would have changed the game, changed the way the game's played, and that's something that I don't think is good at all. My questions for you guys are that: do you agree with the decision to let Thomas off his suspension, which is obviously probably a no-brainer?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and you're right. There is actually no law in the AFL book that condemns sliding or a thing as a slide tackle. The thing was, A, it wasn't a tackle, and B, they did show in the DVD they sent out to the clubs, you can't do that, you can't slide. However, you can't slide when there's a stationary player going to bend over and pick the ball up. They showed an example of Brady Rawlings on Port Adelaide's Matt Thomas last year, and it was a completely different slide than what the AFL penalised Thomas and even Goods for. I even think Goods got a rough deal.
The thing with Goods, though, I think, is the difference between him and Thomas's slide tackle, they're calling it, was Goods went in with his knees. I think that's rather dangerous. Whereas with at least Thomas, he actually turned his body and protected the foot. He didn't even look at Gary Rowan at all.
And I think there was more intent in the Goods decision because he saw the Port Adelaide player. Who was it?
Jacob Surgeon.
Yeah,
He saw Surgeon coming the other direction. He knew. He went in with his knees. I think the fact that he
the intent was there. I think that's
the intent was there, and
another factor.
Thomas didn't know Rowan was there.
Was Thomas had his eyes on the ball the entire time. He was looking at the ball the entire contest. Goods went in with his eyes on Surgeon.
I think also what's interesting is Gleeson coming out and at the match review panel. Wasn't that a fascinating insight into how the AFL actually thinks? It was like you knew there was a risk of injury, so why did you do it? People get injured, and it was just this ridiculous. The mindset of the AFL has become so
Nanny state.
Yeah,
Yes.
very
For
Mark
lack of a better
Webber-ish,
term.
but I agree.
Yeah, I think the way it's sort of sorry to cut in there, the way the AFL sees it, that someone has been seriously injured and they have to be seen to be doing something. And what I think I don't mind is if he was reported, but through the investigative process they found that he had no case to answer. I think that would have been a better process. At least if you report him, you seem to be doing something. The AFL's actually investigating it, but the fact is that he had no case to answer and he should never have been actually tried by the tribunal.
But I think that's about it for the Lindsay Thomas segment. I think
Yeah.
we should move on to some SYN messages.
Yeah, we're just going to go to some ads.
Dear, come listen to this.
What's that, dear?
Why, it's arts and culture on the wireless. Bring your monocle.
Oh, what's the show called?
Arts Mitten, 4 p.m. Sundays on SYN.
So I think we should move on to the injury segment that I've got planned. I mean, Essendon, we did talk about that earlier. We just briefly went over it. Essendon they've got 10 players out with soft tissue injuries. That is just an incredible stat.
That's a lot. That's a lot of soft tissue injuries. It's ridiculous.
And I did go over the injury stats from round 5 of the last 3 years. Injuries have gone up 20% this year, from 6 per club to 7.6 per club. So it's over 20%, in fact, which is just
Is
an
it the
incredible
substitute
stat.
rule?
I do blame it on the substitute rule. I was going to ask what you guys thought of that. And
I
again,
th-
you can text us in your opinions on the idea.
0427 767 767 for your
Exactly.
opinions. I do think that it has been said in the last couple of days that it might have something to do with James Hurd's coaching technique and his coaching regime. You know, which is I'm not sure what goes on down there at Essendon. Maybe
Not
you
to
can
have
shed
a
some
crack
more
at
light on
James
that.
Hurd, but
Yeah, I personally think it's the actual facilities down in Windy Hill. We've had a strong history of soft tissue injuries over the past 5 to 6 years. I think when they get that new facility built out at Tullamore Marine.
And also another stat on Essendon, in all their matches have had the substitute out to injury, and 4 of them, all of them excluding Michael Hurley last week against Carlton round 4, all of them being the first quarter.
Wow.
All
Maybe
hamstring or calf injuries.
You know, maybe you can attribute that to just a really strong start and going out hard and stuff like that, and putting more effort in than you would in the fourth quarter or something like that in a game that's not close, and all that effort might just ping a hamstring. You never know.
But what of the substitute rule then? Good idea, bad idea? Is it causing too many injuries? What do you guys think?
I'm torn as to it. I think it's a good idea, but at the same time, I think it's causing a lot of injuries, and it's maybe it's doing a little bit more harm than good.
But I mean, should it be changed? Like, should we increase the bench, or just get rid of the substitute completely? Or
Well, what would you increase the bench to?
I would bring it back to 4.
Bring it back to 4.
4 and no
With no
subs.
substitutes.
4 and no subs. Or
I might
4
go
and 1
4
sub?
and 1. So there's a 23rd player.
4 and 1.
Like the VFL almost.
Yeah.
4 and 1.
Fair enough. We might come back to this because I think, touch wood, for the 3rd time we might have Tom Curran on the line. Tom,
We'll try it again. 3rd time lucky.
Tom, are you there? Can you hear us?
Hello?
Apologise about the technical difficulties.
Yeah, that's
No
unfortunate.
worries.
Just an awful morning. Mate, this week you were taken off the long-term injury list. Could you explain to us how far along you are? I know you're playing tomorrow, but in contention for senior footy, and what exactly the injury was.
Yep, so playing Cat Cup footy last year for Oakley in the grand final. The week before, I sort of had pulled up a bit sore in my foot and then didn't think anything of it and played in the grand final, which was the week before the AFL grand final, and ended up pulling up really sore from that and had a fracture in my navicular, which is in my right foot, just a little bone on the top of the foot. Wasn't anything too serious. It was just a sort of small fracture, but ended up getting drafted to North, obviously, and yeah, they just took a real cautious approach to getting me back on the park, and they want to make sure that this injury never hampers me down the track. So yeah, went through all of pre-season in sort of a calf and moon boot and on crutches for a bit there, and then sort of progressed through all my stages of rehab, came out of that, and and then when I came out of the moon boot, they said, I sat down with the medical team and they said, look, we need to get your fitness up and about, so we'll put you on the long-term injury list for 8 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it is, and we'll get you fit, and then we can obviously have that chance to promote a rookie if we need to. And yeah, so then I've done that. That was the last 6 weeks, and I've come off this week and ready to go playing.
I mean, you probably get this question a lot, but what's it like growing up having a professional footballer as a parent? I mean, is it a strange thing? Is it something that... what did he say, you getting drafted by North? Obviously, Peter, the premiership player at Hawthorn. What did he have to say about it?
Oh, mate, he was just stoked that I got a chance to do what I love. I mean, he would have loved me to go to Hawthorn, but he just wanted me to get drafted. Like, he didn't really care. But I mean, growing up, having someone like that just to lean back on for some advice, I mean, it was invaluable to me. I think, just the advice he gives, and I've had him as a coach for the last 2 years at school as well, which was really good. Because he's a great communicator. So, I think it didn't sort of change anything. It's just he's my dad. It's nothing. He's no sort of superstar or anything like that. He's just, it was good to have him for some advice though. He sort of kept me close to the ground.
It's a pretty handy asset to have. But as a key forward, what do you think your goal weight will be in the end?
So I sat down with the sort of dietitians when I first got to the club, and I wanted it to be sort of 95 kilos this year, which I've done over the pre-season. So I'm at about 95 now, and where that goes in the future, probably I think I still can put a lot of weight on, so maybe about 100 kilos. You obviously got to maintain your running ability and all that, so probably about 100 kilos I reckon would be my playing weight.
Goal kicking practice at North, how would you increase the accuracy of goal kickers if you were put in charge?
That's a good question. I think goal kicking's a very individual thing, and I mean, we have individual practice, and everyone, like, we have certain set times for goal kicking practice during every main skills, and I think everyone does their own individual thing, and it's up to them to work it out. And we've got like specialists and technical skills people at the club that help us out in all those and with cameras and reviews on our kicking style and all that. So I think we've got a pretty good system in place, and hopefully the goal kicking will pick up over the next. We'll see the rewards soon.
Sounds good. Yeah. But so what would your biggest strength and weakness then be, do you reckon?
Probably one of my biggest strengths, probably using my size to my advantage and marking and all that. And probably below my knees, I've been pretty good last year and stuff. And probably weakness, at the moment, probably coming back from an injury, you'd have to say running ability, and for an AFL standard, that's probably a weakness at the moment. But it's just something we've got to work on, and so every other new draft pick does as well, I guess. But yeah.
I mean, what goals have you set yourself for this year, and what do you want before your career is over?
I guess for this year, so you just want to play. Look, that senior spot, you'd love to play a game. That's got to be the goal. You've got to be striving towards that constantly. But so shorter term, I'd probably like to crack into the ones down at North Ballarat and get fit enough and just build fitness and learn as much as I can down there. And if an opportunity comes up that I could play in the senior team, I'd take it with both hands. I think anyone would. But and obviously over a career, you just think that premiership, everyone loves to play. That's what everyone plays footy for. And if I can play in a premiership with North Melbourne, I think I'd be a pretty bloody happy man. So. Yeah,
it sounds good, mate. But you and Aaron Black, two promising young key forwards. What's Brad Scott set as goals for you two, specifically?
I think just constant development. Obviously we're both pretty young, and Blackie's a bit older than me, obviously. But you just got to constantly develop and keep learning. Blackie's played one game in the AFL, and obviously spent a lot of time down at VFL, which I'm no doubt I will as well. And you just got to constantly keep developing all your skills up, and one day, hopefully, we'll both be in the AFL team.
Blackie, Tommy, oh my God, everything has fallen apart in this studio. Tommy, thanks for your tenacity, staying with us through thick and thin, through the ridiculous, issues we've had here in the studio today.
No worries,
thanks for your time. Good luck for the rest of the year, and good luck for the rest of your career. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, boys. Thanks, heaps.
Tommy Curran from the North Melbourne Football Club, and I think we're going to chuck to some SYN messages to fix some things up. Stay tuned.
After 100% Vienna, 100% Vancouver, and 100% Berlin, it's now time for 100% Melbourne. Join 100 everyday Melburnians as they bring the demographics of Melbourne to life in this unique part game, part reality, part theatre performance. See our city on stage, only at the Melbourne Town Hall on the 4th, 5th and 6th of May. Get your tickets now at melbourne.vic.gov.au/arts participation. SYN sponsor.
You maniacs! You blew it up! Ah, damn you! God damn you all to hell! Tetsuo!
Kaneda!
Tetsuo!
Kaneda!
Tetsuo!
Kaneda!
Let's whoa.
SYN Radio.
Klingan pub, vi chodpu which kup dach mutai which vi sochnis.
The Klingonian ambassador would like you to know that he has a live cat in his pants.
Jikup vach ji.
And he enjoys it.
Pavam, wab jub bi, it willap. Dach 90.7 duck cheli.
The Klingonian ambassador would like to add that you should listen to the Sci-Fi Hiker's Guide to the Galaxy, available on SYN 90.7 from 3 p.m. until 4. That or... Okay, I'll be completely honest, I have no idea what this guy's saying.
Kapwah.
It's time for a Panorama FYI.
What is concentration of media ownership?
Concentration of media ownership refers to the growing trend whereby more media outlets, such as newspapers, radio stations, websites and TV channels, are controlled by fewer individuals or organisations. In Australia, we have one of the most concentrated media sectors in the world. Looking at print alone, 11 of the 12 capital city daily newspapers are owned by only 2 companies.
Get informed. Listen to Panorama 4:30 every weekday on SYN, or head to syn.org.au/panorama.
Oh, is this a goal? Oh. This is a Benchwarmers profile. Scott Gumbleton is currently listed as a centre-half forward for Essendon in the Australian Football League. Recruited in 2006, he was picked up as the number 2 draft pick at Essendon and was seen as one of the top key position players for his age group. Then the injuries started. Since then, Scott has played 22 games spanning between 2007 and 2011, kicking only 22 goals for his career and averaging almost 10 disposals a game. Scott Gumbleton has earned his place as a bench warmer, warming the bench upwards of 90 games by the end of the 2011 Premiership season. You can catch the bench warmers 9 a.m. Sundays only on SYN!
And welcome back to Bound for Glory on SYN 90.7 FM. We're going to jump straight into another interview. We are joined by goal umpire Courtney Lai from the AFL. Hello, Courtney.
Good morning.
How are you this morning?
Well, thanks. How about you?
Oh, not too bad. Just really happy that we've managed to sort out our technical issues, and good to have you on the show with us today. I'm just going to jump straight into some questions. Firstly, the obvious question is what drew you to goal umpiring?
Well, I was playing when I was a teenager at school level. I wasn't that good, but I certainly enjoyed my football, and unfortunately I suffered a few injuries. So I took up the goals when I was about 16, did a few games at school, and I found it quite fun. So I joined the local league and it went from there.
Yep. Now, Courtney, you also work as a medical professional. Is it hard sort of balancing both of those careers?
It's a challenging balance, no doubt about it, but certainly I've been very lucky with my employer that they've been able to let me keep umpiring. I did it through med school and they've been happy to let me keep going since I've been working.
Did you ever sleep through med school doing both?
Not always as well as I think I get enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Now, we obviously don't get to talk to a lot of goal umpires. Could you outline the basics, or if goal umpires get any training? Do they go through the same training as the field umpires, or is it any different?
We've been lucky in the past few years that we've been able to train together at the same venue and the same time as the field and boundary umpires. It's difficult being a national squad. We have different people in different states, but us Victorians all train twice a week, and there's a fair bit of fitness even for a goal umpire.
Yep.
We also have lectures and coaching sessions to try and get our skills up to scratch as well.
Okay, do they actually review any of the decisions made on a week-to-week basis or a monthly basis?
Yeah, definitely. Anything controversial or anything that we could have done better, we certainly have a look over and try and analyse what we could do better next time.
Now, with this, obviously this is the first year that the goal line technology has been put into place. Do you feel it puts more or less pressure on you making decisions as a goal umpire?
The idea is that it puts less pressure on us because we've got a bit of backup there if there's any doubt in our minds or if there's any if it's a very close decision. it can be quite reassuring to know that you've got that backup there to go to if there's that little bit of doubt.
Yep.
I've only had to do one so far, and I think it was nice to be able to get it over and done with on the day.
Was it a nerve-wracking period of time?
It was standing there waiting for the decision to come down, but I think it would have probably been more nerve-wracking back when we didn't have it.
Yeah.
And then you'd be wondering about it all game, whether you got it right or not.
What's the sort of process involved with the goal line sort of decisions? Do you inform the field umpire that you're not sure what happened, or how does it actually work?
So we're supposed to have an idea of the decision just like we did back before it. We come together if necessary and have a chat about what we saw and what we think the decision is. And then we get the input from the box, so to speak, and from that we come to a decision.
Are the players allowed to give any input in this?
The players, no, they're not allowed to give any input into this. They'll try, but they're not allowed to.
Yeah.
And obviously all this takes place in the space of 30 seconds or so. It must put an incredible strain really on your decision making.
It's almost as much pressure for the people upstairs actually, because they only get one or two looks at the vision as well. And sometimes the people at home with their great screens and slow motion replays can look back at it and come to their own conclusions. But it is difficult on the day.
Yep, I guess when you are out there umpiring, do you find watching the play can often sort of take you into the wrong positions as a goal umpire? Do you sort of have to be really particular about where exactly you are being positioned as the ball comes into the forward 50?
Well, positioning is the number one thing in goal umpiring to be able to get the decision right. If you get in the right position, then the chances are you'll see the right thing. I suppose that's where all the training and practice comes into it, to be able to avoid getting in the way of players, make sure that you're able to judge where the ball crosses the line or which side of a post it goes on, and using that fit in space as well for a wide ball, for instance, to be able to get there quickly.
Yep. So just looking back at some of the old AFL games, a lot of the goal umpires sort of have those nice caps, those nice uniforms.
The trench coats.
The trench coats. Do you find the uniforms back in the day were a lot better, or the current uniforms are a lot better?
Part of me wishes we still wore the ties and the coats and the white hats, but I think it's much more practical these days wearing the T-shirts and the tracksuit tops.
Going back to the first time that you went out there, which was, I think we've got it down here as Melbourne versus Adelaide last year. What was it like going out for the first time and pointing the sticks?
Oh, it was incredible. I mean, walking out of the home of football, it wasn't the biggest crowd, but certainly bigger than any crowd I'd umpired in front of before. And just knowing that finally you're at the AFL, it was a superb feeling, and I still get that every time I walk out there.
Must be excellent. I think that's probably going to do us. Courtney, thanks very much for joining us and sticking with us through the technical difficulties. It's been wonderful to speak to you here on Bound for Glory.
Thanks for having me on the show.
No worries. See you later.
Bye for now.
That was Courtney Lai, AFL goal umpire, and I think we're going to go to some SYN messages, and we'll be back shortly.
After 100% Vienna, 100% Vancouver, and 100% Berlin, it's now time for 100% Melbourne. Join 100 everyday Melburnians as they bring the demographics of Melbourne to life in this unique part game, part reality, part theatre performance. See our city on stage, only at the Melbourne Town Hall on the 4th, 5th and 6th of May. Get your tickets now at melbourne.vic.gov.au/arts participation. SYN sponsor.
This is a Benchwarmers Profile. Brian Scalabrine, currently playing as a forward for the Chicago Bulls, is the ultimate king of benchwarmers. Playing on NBA lists since 2001, he really hasn't done enough to cement himself as a starting player in the NBA. Brian has, however, achieved a kind of godlike status. When he does something incredible, the crowd goes nuts.
Oh, Scott, the white mama, don't do him like that!
Brian's job on the NBA clubs of late has been more of doing stuff off of the field, being a huge morale boost for his supporters, as well as the players on his team. He brings a sense of humour to a somewhat serious game.
But in 5 years, you guys are going to forget. In 10 years, I'll still be a champ. In 20 years, I'll tell my kids I probably started. And in 30 years, I probably told them I got the MVP. So I'm really not too worried about it.
You can catch the Benchwarmers, 9 a.m. Sundays, only on SYN!
Hello and welcome back to Bound for Glory. Now, guys, we've got a few SMSs come in.
We've had a lot.
Yeah, just a few. Yeah.
Sorry we didn't get to them earlier.
One from the top was a question about Zeeble in Dream Team. He says, how's Zeeble's Dream Team potential? Traded him in for Magna.
Get on him.
He's 386. Yeah,
he's a bargain.
He's averaging 110. North have a pretty decent draw, you'd say.
He's probably going to go up, 40k after they're playing Gold Coast.
Just make him captain. He'll destroy the Gold Coast on this afternoon.
What I'm not sure about, because I support trading Zeebelin, is getting rid of Magna.
Yeah, I think
although he's tagging, he is doing a good job of it, and he's still money to be made.
In terms of his break even, it's quite low. So I think he's got at least a couple of weeks left in him for price rises. I mean, but it's good trading. He's got heaps of potential.
Solid decision. Love that.
He's gonna improve.
Yeah.
We've got another one. Good old Blackie. Okay, yep, there we go. How many goals will the Tigers win by this week? 8.
They're playing West Coast at Etihad.
Well, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that in a minute.
Yeah.
We will cover that shortly. Long story short, no, they're not going to win.
Not going to win. I got a question. I'll ask about Chelsea. We forgot to do that, but she's
about
one of
that.
our faves.
We were gonna get to that with Courtney. We're going to ask him about Chelsea, who's obviously an extremely popular figure in the AFL umpiring scene and obviously just AFL in general. Should have got there. Sorry, next time.
And also an SMS about the Anzac Day games. With the Anzac Day games, why not do the same thing last year and have Pies Bombers in the Arvo and have another game in another state at night? 2 games on Anzac Day is the answer.
It's actually a good idea.
It's a good idea. It's not too bad. I don't mind that. Thank you to whoever that was.
And I think that's about it for now. But
just a point. If you are going to text in, make sure to attach a name at the end so we can give you credit, because at the moment they're all anonymous. Much, so.
From the same person.
And another one, Justin. Ben is a good bloke.
Well, please refrain from sending in lies.
Oh, I've got a few of those.
Which I think we can generally disagree with. But on to the previews.
A massive week of football.
Thanks, Heath. Boys, we've still got 7 games to go. Massive one, well, maybe not today in the afternoon, but it's going to be a massive test for GWS. They take on the Western Bulldogs up at Manuka Oval at 1:40 p.m.
And it must be said, the Western Bulldogs haven't had the greatest start to the year.
Well, they haven't, and that's the thing. They got over the line against Melbourne last week, but an interesting stat about the Western Bulldogs, they average 9.7 goals a game. So, does that mean GWS are any chance?
Yes.
I think they are, especially because they are playing in Canberra as well, so it'll be a new sort of conditions, different ground. This is great at Western Sydney's best chance to get a first win up.
And how's Izzy Folau kicking his first goal last week?
He has got a cannon leg on him, doesn't he?
He does.
Massive leg on
lovely.
the
Yeah.
kid.
Wasn't it similar to Carmichael Hunt's first goal? They were both from outside 50.
Yeah,
Carmichael's Hunt
Carmichael's
was
on the run,
65 goal,
That was a good
65 metre goal. It was incredible. And Izzy he didn't look to put too much effort into that, and he punted it 55, 60 metres. It's just a huge kick.
I think it's those massive thighs he's got on him.
Yeah, big size. In for their first games this week for Greater Western Sydney are, I think, Taylor Adams and Sam Reid. Sam Reid was a Bulldog last year, so he'll be playing against his old side. And also Callum Ward's first game against his old side after defecting for money.
Didn't I hear...
All the experience. Greater Western Sydney experience, obviously.
Wasn't Taylor Adams investigated by police or something?
And charged. Oh, he's being investigated.
Yeah, he's being investigated.
He has been charged of assault.
He's been charged with assault.
It's not alleged. He has been charged.
Still allowed to play under that?
Well, if Liam Jarrah is still allowed to play.
Fair enough.
Far be it from us to speculate on any ongoing court cases, of course. But, we wish Taylor Adams all the best in his debut in the AFL. It's a big league. It's a big step up, so best of luck.
Boys, Liam Jones, is this going to be his year, or has he still got a lot more to go? Because the Bulldogs haven't got a target up there. I mean, if you've watched them the first 4 weeks, they just look directionless.
It's time for him to step up. It's now or never, really, for him.
At this stage, I think he's pretty much their only key forward. So, aside from Roughhead,
well, they got Roughhead, yeah.
But Jones is the great white hope, so to speak.
And they can't exactly rely on Grant either. He's been, a little bit disappointing. I think he's way too thin. He needs to bulk up a bit.
I'd make the same.
He wants to play a key position role.
You're right. I'd make the same criticism of Easton Wood.
But they're relying on Adam Coonan to kick goals now. He's been named on half forward. He kicked 2 last week, both from set shots. I think they're relying on him to kick 1 or 2 every game now, which is a bit of a worry. But I think I will go with the Bulldogs for this one.
Around the table tips.
Yeah, Doggies by about 5 goals.
I'm going with an upset, Greater Western Sydney.
I'm gonna follow you into that. I'm gonna go with the Greater Western Sydney as well. Put them in the multi.
They have balls this morning.
I reckon the Doggies just. Although don't write off GWS.
twilight game at Etihad between North Melbourne and the Gold Coast Suns.
I will be there.
Yeah, we'll be there later. I was going to say, they got some massive outs, Gold Coast Suns. No Ablett, no Harbrow, no Tally. Swallow is still in doubt. As far we've heard nothing from the Gold Coast camp.
Riscatelli, I think, is just pretty much all but out. I think Aaron Hall was supposed to come in for him. Yet to be announced.
Flown down. He's in Melbourne.
Yeah. So I think North Melbourne just going to absolutely smash him in the midfield with no Ablett because he's been almost holding the team up this year.
Well, he's the single most influential player in the competition at the
moment. He's the best player in the competition. But they got Zeeble, they got Andrew Swallow, Bastanak, Cunnington, all those Adams. I mean, a bunch of young mids who really should get a confidence booster with a big performance in the midfield. I reckon they can pull off a big win, especially with Ablett out.
You know, interesting fact about the Gold Coast Suns, they got an average losing margin at Etihad of 101 points.
Wow. And
they averaged a score of less than 7 goals. That's ridiculous.
I think history will show that today or tomorrow will be no different to that.
All signs point to 400-point win, I think.
Tonight at the MCG.
Hold on a second.
What?
Tips?
Tips?
Go around
tips.
Okay,
hold on. I've got a question for you. How many North Melbourne players will outscore the Gold Coast Suns?
4.
4? I'm going with 5.
I'm going with 0.
Now, who's going to win the game, gentlemen?
Yeah, without Ablett, they've got no hope, Gold Coast.
North by 12 goals.
No, I'd go 10. They're going to go half-ass, and Scott's going to crack down the whip.
What will more than likely be an exceptionally exciting game of football tonight at the MCG is Melbourne versus St Kilda. If you can't tell, that was sarcasm.
We're all looking forward to it.
Yeah, this is going to be a huge one.
Some great televised games this week.
Yeah, I know. It was
Freo Carlton, Greater Western Sydney Doggies, and Melbourne St Kilda.
Awesome decision to put Freo versus Carlton on primetime TV. Psych.
That's 2 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, it's not good. Whoever picks the games for air at Channel 7 should be have a stern talking to.
And North is
anyway.
I mean, I was running late this morning because of the Metro train system, but they still perform better than the Melbourne Football Club.
Oh,
man. Jeez.
Damn.
Easy up.
Are Melbourne going to go into after 5 games? Are they going to be 0-5?
Yes.
So St Kilda are going to get this one. Too much talent. Look at the centre line name there: Del Santo, Hayes, and Goddard. That is.
My favourite quote of this week from the coaches would be Neild saying, "You know what? It'd be good experience for Jack Watts to play on Nick Riewoldt."
It's not going to happen. No way.
I hope it does, just for the visual thrill of watching Riewoldt kick 20.
I think
for all you'll play him, Riewoldt.
St Kilda are expecting him to play in the forward line.
What's named on the bench?
Oh, well, what's new?
Step away from being dropped.
That's where he's most effective, I think.
Not going to be the sub or anything.
But it's good to see, though, that Silver and Grimes are in as well. I mean, they're the couple of shining lights there for Melbourne. They're not really going to do much difference.
Really good to see Sylvia back.
Yeah.
Sylvia's a good player.
Good footballer.
I mean, we bash Melbourne, but seriously, Petted, Howe, they're going to be some really good footballers.
Howe loves jumping on people's heads.
Howe is just a spectacular talent. Pettard isn't playing this week. Hasn't played for a few weeks now, which is really disappointing because I reckon he's a good forward. He's good mark for his size as well, which it's disappointing not to see him to the side. But regardless, I think St Kilda by 6-7 goals.
Yeah, I'm going to have to echo that. St Kilda by not a huge amount, but 4 or 5 goals, I think. And it's, as an aside, it's good to see. I think that's Jack Fitzpatrick named as an emergency. He suffers from chronic fatigue syndrome, as far as I'm aware. Good to see him getting at least the encouragement of being named an emergency. But yeah, St Kilda too strong in this one.
Yeah, I agree with both of you there. Go Saints by about 30 points.
I reckon Saints by 10. I reckon Melbourne, they're not necessarily getting better, but the Saints at the MCG, I just see Melbourne as they're starting to put in more effort, and you can see there's more drive from that midfield, and I think they can give them a scare, but they won't win. 10 points.
I reckon the Saints by upwards of 40 points. But before we go to the next game, I've got a couple of SMSs in. Okay, we've got a shout out. Annie saying hello, listening in from London.
Hello, Annie.
Hello, all the way.
Which is awesome. So, hello, Annie. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.
What's this? Whoever picks the broadcast games must have purple as their favourite colour by Strawn Side.
Thanks very much for listening in, Strawn Side.
Yep.
And big footy.
Yeah, really? Oh, there you go.
Fantastic.
Thank you, big footy.
And
royalty.
last one here. Did anyone else almost cream themselves with Walker's near mark of the century last night?
Yes, I stood up. I nearly dropped my beer.
He got up over Matthew Cruiser and Zach Clark, and that is not an easy task.
Jeremy Howe will take mark of the year.
He's up a long way if you think about it.
I remember Carlisle, who's 200 centimetres, or he's a pretty tall player, and last year he got in his bloody head.
Seriously, is Walker not being paid enough at Carlton? Is that the only way he can get himself a new car?
It must be.
Jesus.
Moving on to the next game, the other Saturday night game up at the Gabba is the Brisbane Lions versus Geelong. I don't know, I personally can't see Brisbane winning this. Geelong have more cracks than late, but I can't see them losing to Brisbane, even at the Gabba.
Yeah, it was interesting.
I can't see it being a blowout, though.
No,
I think Geelong will win as well. It was interesting seeing. There's an interview with the Tomahawk in Today's Age, and he said he sees a bit of Jonathan Brown inside him. So it'll be interesting to see how he goes.
Interesting facts about this game: Geelong have not won the total possessions so far this season. They've lost,
which is something that they've prided themselves on over over their dynasty.
Yes, they've had 12 players against the Cats rack up 25 touches or more so far this season. A midfield with Redden, Rich, Black,
Rockcliffe.
Well. They could have a field day, and I just think they're really missing Ling. And Kelly's not playing tonight. I think that they've got two really exciting prospects. Carnezis back in, and Aaron Cornelius, 10 marks, 4 goals last week against the Suns.
Can't forget the young man Jared Pollock.
Again, yes.
High draft pick, exciting talent, quick.
Pierce Hanley as well.
Irish.
Polkinghorn's doing all right, that forward mid-roll. So you'd say Brisbane would get close. Geelong maybe will have the experience and just the class to edge them out, but I reckon Cats by 15.
Got to tip the Cats.
Yeah, I'm gonna echo that as well, Ben. I reckon Cats by about 2-3 goals.
It's a bit of a milestone game, is it?
Who for?
Yeah, Simon Black.
Simon Black, 300 games.
300
so congratulations on him.
On your Blackie.
Yeah. Top Black.
There we go. That's why I said Blackie before.
Can Brisbane do something for one of their absolute legends for the football club?
Be an interesting point, I suppose. Tomorrow.
Oh, sorry, my tip.
Yeah, sorry. Before we go,
no, next game. Forget your tip.
Get you sitting over the other side of the desk there.
Just working fun. Yeah, Geelong. Obviously, it goes without saying. So you probably didn't even need my tip.
No, thank you. Thank you for your valuable insight, though. Moving on to the Sunday games, we've got Hawthorn versus Sydney down. Sorry, down in Tasmania. I don't know. That's a tough one. That is a tough game to pick.
I'm going with Sydney. I've already apologised to Dane Swan. I'm going to apologise to the Sydney Swans this week.
No,
they have completely overwrought any expectations I've had for them. They're winning contested ball. Their outside players are really, really damaging. They look like a force. I think they will be top 4 this year. With their draw, they're starting to look like a good side.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Hawthorn. I think just to ignore
everything
you
just
said,
down,
pretty much. Let's go with this analysis.
Fine.
I think, to me, Hawthorn are the premiership favourites this year. I think they'll go out there and get the job done. Buddy Franklin on Ted Richards will be a good matchup because Richards is a highly underrated player, and I think he can keep up with them throughout the game. So it'll be interesting to see how they both go.
Loving the look of Lewis Jetta there on Shane Savage. Should be an interesting matchup. I think Jetta will be too quick and burning for pace. Get out on the wings a little bit.
Is that an inside joke?
No, no, it's not.
Okay.
You'll have the Jets on.
But Josh Kennedy in ripper form up against his old club. I reckon that'd be a good sight to see. And Luke Parker as well. The youngster, he's
just racks him up, doesn't he?
He's 19, 20 years old, and he's just getting so much of that footy. I reckon Sydney have the potential to cause an upset, but I'm going to go with Hawthorn at the home ground.
And we've got Goods playing his it's some sort
milestone
of milestone
300 breaking game, breaking the record.
Was it Mickey O'Loughlin?
Yep.
I reckon just because it's down there, the Hawks, I reckon they've got the advantage down there. Used to the ground, and Hawks by, I'd say, about 3 goals.
I got to go with the Hawks as well. I think too strong for Sydney. Moving on to the next game. Has everyone tipped? Everyone's tipped. Everyone's tipped. Sorry, I just don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss anyone.
That's all. You're good.
Thinking about just thinking about you guys.
Who was that?
West Coast coming over from the West to tackle Richmond at Etihad Stadium tomorrow in the mid-afternoon game. I'm going to have just West Coast all the way because I don't think Richmond are good enough. I think Riewoldt is having a terrible season. Yeah, I said
He's not working hard enough. I'm
No,
sorry. I haven't seen him made a second effort at a contest for a very, very long time. And he reckons he's working hard enough, and I just don't think it's
I hate to say it as well, he's the sort of player who happens to play for himself, I think. At moments,
I wouldn't say he plays for himself. I think what happens is when you get out of form as a footballer, you'll take a ball, you'll mark it about 45 metres out, on an angle and say, oh, should I pass the option? Since you're in such bad form, you think to yourself, oh, no, I've got to go back and slot this. And I think he gets into that mindset too much. If he, he can still contribute to the team if he's not kicking goals. He's done that before, but he's just being too absent-minded on his own bad form. He's kicked 6-10 so far, so if he's not kicking them, pass him off.
Maybe the right term is that he's just he's not thinking straight. I think he's just
So boys, tips. Anyone see Richmond pinching this?
Nah, West
I
Coast.
don't. I think the main issue with Richmond is sort of bringing the ball back in from the half back, and with West Coast's press, which is amazing up there, when you bring it to Etihad Stadium, which is a smaller stadium, they're going to be absolutely annihilated. Richmond, I think they will lose by at least 10 goals.
Hello.
Sean Grigor's been in good form recently. He's been
nice pickup from Carlton.
He's been racking up a lot of the footy. I don't think it's going to be particularly a blow. I'm going to tip West Coast, but by 3-4 goals.
Eagles by 7.
I agree with
points or goals.
Goals. 7 goals.
I reckon it's going to be a bit of a blowout as well. West Coast, Hawthorn were my premiership favourites, but so far this season, West Coast have impressed me immensely, and I reckon West Coast by 10 goals.
How good is Scott Selwood?
He stepped it up massively.
It's great to see Gaff, Shuey. These kids are going to be absolute superstars.
Selwood was always rated as the best. Scott was always rated as the best Selwood too.
And with Kerr, going to retire and possibly end of this season or the next, we've got these young kids stepping up, and it's pretty promising for West Coast.
Final game of the round, the showdown over there in Adelaide. It's 4:40 tomorrow. I never miss a showdown. I reckon they're great. I mean, I'm Victorian, but I think they're great because it's just a contested contest, and
contested contest.
Yes, contested ball. Yeah. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, I have heard of that. Actually. I'm tipping a draw.
A draw.
Yep.
I think on form I'd go with Adelaide, but I think because it's in Adelaide, it's showdown, I'll go with Port, just to go one up there.
It's just one of those games where you can all the signs point to Adelaide winning, but you just have that little feeling that Port Adelaide might get up. But I'm still going to tip Adelaide by 5 points.
Last couple of showdowns have been not as close as they usually are, but I think if Port are in it at 3/4 time, they can steal it, but I just think the Crows will be too good, about 20 points.
Yeah, it could go either way, 50-50. It's kind of like the Carlton-Essendon games. I'd say Adelaide because they're in better form at the moment.
Although I do love the boy Chad Wingard. Immense talent.
And they will miss Robbie Gray too, who tore his ACL on the weekend. That freak accident. Leg basically bent the wrong way at the knee, which was fairly disgusting.
Right, well, that's going to do it for us here on Bound for Glory this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. Tune in next week, and we'll have more footy for you at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and see you later.